So we begin today on Daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph, about 15 lines in from the top of the Yomad. Omer Rav Yudah Amar Rav, Rav Yudah said in the name of Rav, Asara Dvarim Nivru B'Yom Rishon. 10 things were created on the first day of creation. What are the 10 things? Ve'Elohein, Shemayim v'Aretz, heaven and earth, Toyu v'Avoyu, an expression it says in the beginning of the Torah. The Gemara will explain what Toyu v'Avoyu means. Or v'Chayshech, light and darkness, Ruach u'Mayim, the wind and the water, Midas Yom and Midas Laila, the time of the day and night, which Rashi says means that the day is 20, that together it's 24 hours. So those are the things that were created all on the first day. Shemayim v'Aretz. How do we know heaven and earth was created on the first day? The pasuk says, "Bereshis bara Elokim." It's the Shemayim v'Aretz. Hashem created heaven and earth. Toyu v'Avoyu. The Chsiv v'Aretz haisa soyu v'Avoyu. The world was toyu v'Avoyu. Or v'Chayshech, light and darkness. Chayshech, the Chsiv. Regarding darkness, it says v'Chayshech al pnei tahim. There was darkness. Or the Chsiv, the light, it says v'Yemer Elokim yihiyah. Ruach u'Mayim, the wind and the water. The Chsiv Ruach Elokim. The wind of Hashem, merachefas al pnei hamayim, was hovering above the water. Midas yayim and midas laila, the day and the night that makes up the 24-hour period. The chsiv, vayerev vayevayke yom echad. It was night and morning, and that's one day. Now the Gemara explains, what is toyu v'avoyu? Very interesting thing. Tana, so that we learned in the Braise, toyu is a kav yaruk, it's a green line, shemakif is kol ha'olam kulei, that encompasses the entire world. Shemimeno yetze chayshech. That's the source of darkness. Right? Darkness is also a creation, and the source of this darkness comes from this green light, or green line that is, that surrounds the world. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, Yoshes chayshech sisrei, the Eibusha places darkness in its concealed place, sivivaisav, around him. So this is this green line around the world. Bayu, what is Bayu? Elo avonim hamefulamais. These are the damp stones. Hameshukais b'tahim, that are deep under the ground. Shemehen yoitzemayim, and that's the source of where the water comes out from. Shenema, there's a pasuk that says v'noto aleo kav, that Eibusha placed a kav toyu. So the kav toyu refers to this line, a line of toyu that we just explained, that it goes around the world. And va'avnei bayu, and these stones of bayu, which are these stones that are very deep under the ground. Okay. Going back to what we said, that light was created on the first day of creation. So the Gemara asks, was light created on the first day of creation? But the pasuk says, the Eibusha placed the sun and the moon in the sky. And when was that? The pasuk says, that this was on the fourth day of creation. So the Gemara answers, K'der Rabbi Elazar. The answer for this is, like Rabbi Elazar said, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Oyer shebara Kadosh Baruch Hu b'yom rishon, the light that the Eibusha created on the first day of creation, Adam tzayfe by misayf ha'olam v'tzayfe. The light was so powerful, you can see with this from one end of the world to the other. So Kivish and Istakla Kadosh Baruch Hu b'deira mabel. The Eibusha looked further and saw the generation of the mabel, b'deira floge, and the generation the deira floge. And he saw all of their behavior, how bad it was. So he didn't want them to be able to have use of such a kind of holy light. So Amad v'ganzimen, the Eibusha went and hid it from all these generations. Shenama v'yimna risham merisham oyram. Hashem held back the light from these wicked people. And where did the Eibusha hide it? L'mi ganzai. For who did the Eibusha hide it? The tzadikim la'asad lavai. For the tzadikim in the future. Shenama vayar lekim esa'oyer ki toiv. The Eibusha saw that the light is good. What does ki toiv mean? Vein toiv el tzadik. Toiv means that he hid it for the tzadik. Shenama imru tzadik ki toiv. That a tzadik is good. Kivin shara oyer shegonzi le tzadikim. When the Eibusha saw that this light that he put aside and he hid it for the tzadikim, samach. The Eibusha was happy about this. Shenama oyer tzadikim yismach. The light of tzadikim, and the Eibusha was happy about this. So basically, the answer the Gemara is saying, according to Rabbi Elazar, is there was the light the Eibusha created on the first day of creation, but that light was too powerful, and the Eibusha concealed it. And in another place it says the Eibusha hid it in the Torah for the tzaddikim. And then the Eibusha created the light that we have today, which is on the fourth day of creation, and the Eibusha hung the sun and the moon in the sky. Says the Gemara, Kitanoi. This answer we said here is an argument of Tanoim. So it says in the Braise, in the light Hashem created in the first day of creation, Adam Tzayfil Mabed by a person can look with this light and see from one end of the world to the other. Divrei Rab Yaakov. That's Rab Yaakov's opinion, like we said before. The Chachamim argue and say, it's the same light created on the first day of creation that it speaks about on the fourth day that it was hung in the sky. But it was created on the first day. And Abisha created the source of light on the first day, but it was hung in the sky on the fourth day of creation. This Gemara here about this light that was created on the first day, and then the Abisha hid it. The Rebbe spoke about this in a Sicha Barichis. It's in Chelik Yud, in the first Sicha there. And there the Rebbe asks the question, what does this mean? The Eibush just sort of didn't understand what's going on. He created the light, and then he realized that there's Rishayim, and then he hid it, and then it's for Tzaddik and Lasad Lavai. It almost sounds like there was like a mistake here, and it had to be hidden. Of course, that's not the Pshat. So the Rebbe explains that we know the entire world is created with a tzimtzum and a hel and v'hester. The world can't handle this light. And the point is, ultimately, when Mashiach comes, to bring a light which is l'mayla me'eshtalshalos into the world. So from the beginning of creation, the purpose of creation was already inserted in the world. So that light that it speaks about here refers to the purpose of what creation is going to come to when you'll have this revelation, l'mayla me'eshtalshalos. So it's already invested in the world. Elamai was concealed in Lasad Lavai. The tzaddikim will have the kayach to then reveal this light that will be revealed Lasad Lavai. But since that's the purpose, ultimately, so it was there already from the beginning of creation.
The whole thing of Chit was there before the Eitzah.
Right, okay. So the Gemara Amarav Zutre, Bartovye Amarav. Basara Dvarim Nivra. Hashem creates the world with 10 different things. It's interesting because the 10 different things it says here seems to correspond, at least to some extent, to what it always speaks about in Chassidus and Kabbalah, the 10 spheres. So B'chachme, B'tvuna, B'das, which is Chachme, Bin, and Das. And then B'kayach or B'gaira with the Eibish's power, and the Eibishter screams or rebukes, or B'gvura with might, B'tzedek with righteousness, or B'mishpat with justice, B'chesed with kindness, or B'rachmim with mercy. Those are the 10 powers Hashem created the world with them. So the Gemara brings the source for this. B'chachma b'tfuna, Hashem creates the world with chachma and bina. The Chesiv, the pasuk says, Hashem b'chachma yasad aretz. He founded the world on wisdom, kain and shemayim b'tfuna, and He sets up the world with tfuna, which is bina. B'das, Hashem creates the world with das. The Chesiv b'daitai tahaymais nivku. With Hashem's das, the tahaymais, the deep places under the earth, were opened up. B'koyach u'gvura, with might and with strength. The Chesiv, the pasuk says, Meichin harim b'koychai. He prepares and creates the mountains with His might. Nezar b'gvura, and the Eibusher girdles Himself with the strength. B'gara, the Eibusher rebukes and screams. The Chesiv amudei shamayim yoreifafu. The pillars of heavens were weak. Vayitmu b'garasai, and they were astounded of the Eibusher screaming. So that's strength in the world. B'tzedek u'mishpat, with righteousness and judgment. The Chesiv tzedek u'mishpat mechayin kisecha. That tzedek and mishpat is the machayin, is the what holds up Hashem's throne, which is the source of the creation of the world as well. Okay, and b'chesed v'rachamim, and with mercy and with kindness and mercy. The Chesiv zechayra chamecha Hashem v'chasadecha. Hashem remembers His mercy and kindness kimeyolam hema, which was forever always. Or it refers, Me'olam Hemer refers to the creation of the world. When Hashem created the world, the world was expanding. Like this ball of a shesi, which is the thread that you use when you throw the thread through the weaving, and you throw it and it goes. And it was like these balls that Hashem threw, and it continued rolling and extending until the Eibush just screamed and stopped it. The pasuk says, the pillars of heaven were weak, which in this sense means that it was sort of expanding. But it was astounded, it stopped when the Eibush just screamed. This is something that Rish Lakish said, the name Shindal Yud refers to the fact that when the Eibusher created the world, the Eibusher sort of stopped the expansion of creation. Rish Lakish said about this that when the Eibusher created not only the world Bechlal but also the seas, and it was continued, the water was extending and going further and further. The Eibusher screamed and dried up that there should be dry land. Shenema goyer bayom vayivsheyu. The Eibush screamed at the water and it dried up. V'chol hanaharais hechriv. And all of the rivers were dried up. Tana Rabbanan Abraisa we learned about creation. Beishamai Yomrim. Beishamai says Shemayim nivru tchilo. Heaven was created first. V'achakach nivras haaretz. And only afterwards was the earth created. Shenema, as you see in the pasuk, it says Bereishis bara lekim esa shemayim v'esa haaretz. First heaven and then earth. Beis Hillel Yomrim. Beis Hillel say no. Eretz nivras tchilo. It was the earth that was created first. V'achakach shemayim. And only afterwards were the heavens created. Shenema, the pasuk says afterwards there, also in Bereishis, by Yoim Asais Hashem Elokim Eretz v'Shamayim. It says first Eretz and then Shamayim. So Amru Lem Beis Hillel Beishamai. Beis Hillel says to Beishamai, L'Divreichem, according to your opinion, that Hashem creates the heaven before the earth. That doesn't make sense. Adam Baina Aliyah. A person, when he builds a house, would build the second floor first, V'achakach Baina Bayis, and then he builds the house, which is the first floor. So the same thing, why would Hashem create the heavens before he creates the earth? Shenemar, and we see that it says in the pasuk, Habayim b'shamayim me'ali yasav. Hashem creates the heaven from his upper stories. So that's like considered to be like the upper stories of a building. Va'agudasai alaret, and his groups he brings down here in the earth below, Yasta, that's where he founded it. So therefore it makes sense, Hashem created the earth below first. Beishamai responds to Beis Hillel also with a question, and he asks, L'divreichem, according to your opinion, Adam oise shrafraf. Does a person first make himself a footstool, v'achakach oise kisei, and afterwards he builds himself a chair? So the heavens and the earth are compared to a footstool and a chair. Shenem, the pasuk says, Koyam Hashem Hashemayim kisi. The heavens are my throne, and v'ha'aretz adayim raglai, and the earth below is like my footstool. So it makes sense that the Eibusha creates the heavens, which is the throne, and then the footstool. A third opinion the Gemara brings, V'chachamim ma'imrim, zeh v'zeh ka'achas nivro. Both heaven and earth are created at the same time. Shenem, the pasuk says, Av yadi yasta aretz, my hand, my left hand created the earth below, v'yiminoi tipcha shemayim, and my right hand created the heavens. Kairani aleim yamdu yachtav, and I call to them and they stand together. So together means that they were created together. V'hidach, according to the other opinions, ma yachtov. What does the pasuk mean when it says together, if they were not created together? The answer is the lemishtalfi ma'adodi, that they will not separate from one another. After they're created, they always exist together. So the Gemara now asks, kashu kroi adodi. Going back to the psukim that were quoted before, we have a contradiction in the psukim that were brought before, regarding what was created first. Was heaven created first? Was the earth created first? Amar Reish Lakish answers, Kishenivru, when they were created, bara shamayim v'achkach bara aretz. The Eibishter, he created the heaven and earth before he placed them in their position. He created their existence. He creates heaven first and then he creates the earth. But then when he spreads them out in their place and he puts them where they belong, so then not haaretz, he placed the earth in its place first, and then he spreads out the heavens above the earth. Okay, this is the machlekes here in the Gemara. This is brought in many places in Chassidus. The Alter Rebbe brings this in Torah and Parshas Vayigash. There's a sikha from the Rebbe in Chelik Vav, Parshas Boy, about this Barichas Gedaila. And the point the Rebbe explains there is, Shemayim is more the Ruchni is the creation, and Aretz is the Gashmi is the creation. And the machlekes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is, what is the purpose of creation? Beis Shammai says the whole purpose of creation is really all for Ruchnius. And the Gashmi is the world as well. The purpose is that Gashmi should connect to Ruchnius and become subservient to Shemayim, which is Ruchnius. So therefore Shemayim comes first. That's the main purpose. Aretz follows Shemayim. So Shemayim was created first. Beis Hillel's view is the opposite. And that's the view, the way we paskin, that no, the Eibush created the world for the Gashmi, the earth below. And all the heavens and the Ruchnis, the worlds that are above, are here for the purpose of the Gashmi is below. So therefore the first thing the Eibush creates is Aretz. And then afterwards, Shemayim is here to follow and to help us with our Avodah here in this world in Aretz. It's a big arichas there in the Sikha, but that's the Nekudah. The Gemara continues regarding the term, the name. What does Shemayim mean? Mai Shemayim. What does this word mean? Rav Yossi bar Chanina, Shesham Mayim. Shemayim is a place of water. They separated the waters below and the waters above. That's what the Shemayim is, water. The Masnita Tana and a Braisa we learned, Eishu Mayim. It's a combination of fire and water. Melamed, this teaches us, She'evina Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibusha brought fire and water, V'tarfon zeh b'zeh, and mixed them together. Vasam and Rekia. And this is what the Rekia, the sky or the firmament is. Rabbi Shmuel asked Rabbi Akiva a question when they were traveling on the way. Amalei said to Rabbi Akiva, you served and learned from Nachum Ish Gamzu for 22 years. And he darshaned every single time it says in the Torah the word es, he darshaned something on it. So his question was, when it says es hashamayim ve'es haaretz, ma yedayrish ben? What did he darshan? Why doesn't it say bereishis bara lekim hashamayim v'haaretz? What's the two s's? Amalei, so Rabbi Akiva answered him, Ilu nema shamayim v'aretz. If it would just say Bereishis bara lekim shamayim v'aretz hayisi aimer, then I would make the mistake and say that shamayim is Shmoi Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Maybe shamayim is another name for the Eibishter. It says Hashem. Bereishis, no, it doesn't say Hashem. It says Bereishis bara elikim shamayim. I would just think it's another name. Ach shoshanema esa shamayim. The Eibishter created the heavens and ve'esa aretz. So I know that Shemayim means Shemayim Mamish, and Aretz means Aretz Mamish. It literally means heaven and earth, and it's not another name of Hashem. That's why it has to say Es HaShemayim. Now the Gemara says Es HaAretz Lomali. But why does it say another word Es after HaAretz? Once it says Es HaShemayim, it could have just said Es HaShemayim V'Aretz. So the Gemara answers Lahaktim Shemayim La'aretz, to tell me that heaven was created before the earth. If it would say Shemayim V'Aretz, then I would say maybe they were created together. Why does it say Shemayim before Aretz? Because you can't write two words at the same time. So it says Shemayim before Aretz, but it really means they were created together. That's why it says Esa Shemayim ve'Esa Aretz, that the heaven was created first, and then the earth was created. Then the pasuk says V'ha'aretz ha'isa soyu v'avoyu, that the earth below was soyu v'avoyu. So Mechdi, let's see, B'Shemayim aschol bereishem. First, the pasuk says Hashem created heavens. So Maishna de Kachashav Ma'aretz. Why, when it comes to elaborate what happened in Shemayim and Aretz, why does it first speak about what was here in the earth below? Maybe it should first talk about the sun and the moon that's in the sky, but it first describes what happened in the earth below, even though in the pasuk it comes out, according to this opinion, that it was created second. So the Gemara answers, Tana de Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel says an interesting analogy. Mashal Melech Basav Adam, of a king of flesh and blood, Sha'amala Avadav, he summons his servants and he says to them, Hishkimu lepischi, make sure you're here early tomorrow in the morning. So Hishkim, tomorrow early in the morning, he comes and sees, Umatza, he finds Noshim Val Noshim, that there are men and women of his servants that are there waiting for him early in the morning. Lemi Mishabeach, who will the king praise? Who will the king give more attention to first? Lemi Shein Darke Lahashkim Ve'ishkim, those that are not usually there early in the morning, and they were there now early in the morning. That's the mashal. What's the nimshal? It's the same also. The Eibishter summons heaven and earth. He creates them. Heaven is the ruchnis, the worlds. They are sort of closer to Hashem. The earth is lower down. It's further away. And yet the earth was created together with the heavens at the same time. So because the earth, which is further away, came together with the heavens, so the Eibishter is giving more attention to the earth. And in the Torah, he speaks about the earth first. Tanya, Rabbi Yosi said, Oilem lebrius, woe to the people, the creations in the world, sheroyais. We see things in the world, veinan yoidis marais, but we don't even know what we're seeing. Oimdais, we're standing here in the world, veinan yoidin al ma'in oimdais, and we have no idea on what we're standing upon. And the Gemara, the Braisa explains what this means. Ha'aretz al ma'in medes, the earth that we stand upon, what is it holding itself up on? Alo amudin, and there's pillars that are holding up this world. Shenema, there's a pasuk that says, Hamargis aretz mimekaima, the Eibishter shakes the earth from its place, va'amudeh yispalotzen. Its pillars are moving. So you see, the world is standing on pillars. Amudam alamayim, and then these pillars stand upon water. Shenema, the pasuk says, L'roika ha'aretz alamayim, that the earth that's standing on the pillars is on the water. Mayim alaharim, and the water is upon mountains. Shenem, as the pasuk says, al harim yamdu mayim. On mountains, the water is standing. And harim beruach, and these mountains are being held up through wind. Shenem, as the pasuk says, kihine yaitza harim b'vayre ruach. The Eibishter created mountains, and he creates through the wind to hold up the mountains. And ruach besara, and the wind is held up by the stormy winds. Shenema, the pasuk says, Ruach Sara Oise Devarai, that the stormy winds it creates Devarai, the words of Hashem that's in the wind. And Sara and these stormy winds, that's being held up by Hashem's arm. So ultimately, everything is being held up by Hashem himself. Shanem, as the Pasuk says, umitachas, below everything that Hashem created, there are the arms of the world, which is the Eibusher that holds it all up. Okay, these are all the ruchnizic things that the Gemara is speaking about over here, the way the world is created. The Chachamim say, Al Yud Beis Amudim Oimedes. The world stands upon 12 pillars. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, Yatsev Gvulos Amim. The Eibusher creates the borders or the pillars of the nations of the world. L'mispar b'nei Yisrael, like the numbers of the Shvatim of the Yidden. V'yesh Oimrim. Another opinion is that Zion Amudim. There are 7 pillars that the world stands upon. Shenemar, the pasuk says, Chotzva Amudeh Shiva. The Eibusher carves out 7 pillars for the world. Rab Elazar ben Shammua says, Al Amud Echad. The world stands upon 1 pillar, v'tzadik shemai, and this is a tzadik. Shenem, as the pasuk says, v'tzadik yisoid olam. The tzadik is the pillar of the world. Amar Rav Yehuda said, Shnei rakiyim hein. There are 2 heavens. Shenem, the pasuk says, Hein la Hashem elekecha hashemayim u'shmei hashemayim. The heaven and the heaven of heavens. Reish Lakish says, Shiva. There are 7 heavens. Okay, so here the Gemara is going to go through Barichas Gedaila, all the 7 heavens. We always learn about this in Basi Lagani, about the Shechina that got removed and elevated into the 7 heavens. The Gemara here is going to name all of them and go through what they are. And Ve'elu Hein, these are the 7 heavens. Vilain, Rakia, Shchakim, Zvul, Ma'in, Machain, Aravis. Now what are these 7 heavens? Vilain, Eine Mishamish Klum. Vilain, which is the lowest of the heavens, does not serve any purpose of its own. It doesn't have anything in it itself. Ela nichnas shachris v'yotza arvis. The light that comes into the world shines through it in the morning, and the light leaves through it in the evening. And every day it renews creation. Shanema, there's a pasuk that says, Hanoite kadoik shamayim. The Eibusher spreads out like a thin curtain the heavens. Vayim tochim ka'oyel l'shavas. And the Eibusher spreads it out like it's like a tent over the world. That's the lowest heaven. Rakia, the next heaven, which is called Rakia, Shebay Chamo Levana Kichavam Mazolis. All the sun, the moon, and all the stars, the entire cycle of everything that exists over there in Shemayim, that's in the 2nd heaven. Kavun, that's where they are. Shanama, it says, Vayitin Noisim Alekim. The Eibusher placed the sun and the moon, but Rakia is Shemayim. In this 2nd heaven, which is called Rakia. Shchakim, the 3rd heaven is called Shchakim. What does the term Shchakim mean? Shchakim literally means a mill where you grind. Shabayir Echayim Oimdais. That's where you have a mill which is there, and it's V'toichnois Mon Tzadikim, and it grinds man for the tzadikim. And the Bach here actually adds La'asad Loveh, that this also goes on the future, that then Hashem again will give the tzadikim, will give the Yidden man. Shanem, the pasuk says, Vayitzav Shchakim Imal. The Eibusher commanded that there should be this Shchakim above. V'dal se Shemayim Pasach. The Eibusher opened up the doors of heaven. Vayamter Aleim Man Lechel. The Eibusher gave them the man. So the man comes from Shchakim. Zvul, the 3rd heaven or the 4th heaven, is the place which is called Zvul. Shabbat Yerushalayim or Beis Hamikdash, where you have the Yerushalayim Shalmaila, Yerushalayim above, and there's a Beis Hamikdash there as well. Mizbeach Banoi, and there's a Beis Hamikdash there, and a Mizbeach there. Michal Hasar Agadol, Michal, the great minister of Hashem, Oimid Umakrival of Carbon, is standing there and bringing karbonis. There's a Bach here that adds to the Gemara. We learned about this in the Maimer. The Bach adds, my makriv, what does he bring? Are there physical animals there? He elevates and sacrifices the neshamas of the tzaddikim on the mizbeach above. And the Gemara brings the pasuk, Shenemar, the pasuk says, Banoi banisi beis zvul lecha. I've built for you a base zvul, which refers to the base of Mikdash, Machin l'shiftecha elamim, and it says Machin. Machin is this heaven, which is the place where the Eibusher is forever. That's the heaven where there is the base of Mikdash. How do we know that this Machain is one of the heavens above? Look from the heaven and see from the Zvul of your Beis HaMikdash. So we see that the Zvul is not only the Beis HaMikdash in the world below, but it's also in heaven. Machain is one of the heavens. The next heaven is Ma'oin. It's called Ma'oin. This is the sixth heaven. Shaboy, Kittes, Shal Malachi, Ashare, Sha'imrin, Shira. Over there you have the groups of Malachim that say Shira every day, Balayla at night, and V'choshes Bayayim. And they're quiet by day, Mipnei Kvodah Shal Yisrael. For the honor of Yidden, they give the Yidden the time to daven to Hashem. Shanem, the Pasuk says, Yoimam Yitzava Hashem Chazdai. By day, the Eibishter commands his kindness that they have to be quiet for the Yidden to daven. Balayla Shira. And by night, the Malachim sing with Hashem. Rish Lakish, regarding this pasuk, Rish Lakish said, "Kol ha'isik b'Torah b'layla." Person that learns Torah at night, HaKadosh Baruch Hu meishich alav chut shel chesed b'yom. Hashem draws upon this person a thread of kindness during the day, that people see a special kindness in this person. Shanama, the pasuk says, "Yomam yitzav Hashem chazdai." By day, the Eibusher puts a kindness on this person. O matan, what's the reason for Yomam yitzav Hashem chazdai? Mishom o b'layla shirim, because he sings the words of Torah by night. Another pshat in this pasuk, the Gemara says, a person that makes time to learn Torah in this world, the world that we're living in now, is compared to night. The Eibush will bring upon him a thread of kindness when Mashiach comes. And then when the Mashiach comes, it's compared to day. Because a person learned Torah now in the time of darkness. Another pshat, another thing connected to this, the Gemara is interrupting it. We didn't finish yet all the heavens. We have to still get to the seventh heaven. But the Gemara here says, Amar Rab Levi, kol ha'paisik midivrei Torah. Person that's in the middle of learning, and he stops of his learning, v'aisik midivrei sicha, and he goes and talks about other things that are not Torah, machil anoisei gachli resamim. The Eibishter gives him to eat coals, very, very hot boiling coals. Shenema, the pasuk says, ha'koitfim miluach ale siach v'shayrish resamim lachmam. That a person that's kaitim means you cut off. Miluach means the luchais of learning Torah, alisiach to discuss other matters. So then shayrish shasamim lachmam, the Eibusher gives them to eat bread, these coals. How do we know that this heaven, which is called Machain, or Ma'in, that is called, or which one are we talking about over here? Is it Machin or Ma'in? Okay, 1 second. We're talking about Ma'in. So how do we know that this Shemayim, which is called Ma'in, is also one of the heavens? Shanama, the pasuk says, Ashkifa mi Ma'in katshacha min Hashemayim. So this is Ma'in katshacha, that min Hashemayim. Okay, so that we know that Ma'in is one of the heavens. Now, Machain, then there's the heaven that's called Machain. Shabai, Eitzreis, Sheleg, Ubarad, Valias, Tlolim, Roim. That's Machain is a storehouse. And this is a storage where the Eibishter has snow, hail, Valias, Tlolim, Roim, and there's attics of dew that come in the negative, Valias, Iglim, and also a place where there's the rain. Also, these are all places that it's a source of punishment. And the Chedra, Shalsufa, Visara, and rooms of all the storms that come to the world, Umara, Shalkiter, and caves of vapor that the Eibishter has in store over there, Vidal Seseyan, Eish, and doors which have fire in it. Shanem, as the pasuk says, Yiftach Hashem, Lucha, Seitzara, Yatov, the Eibishter opens up this storehouse, so there's a storehouse for the good, but there's also a storehouse where the Eibishter has the source of all punishment in the world is in this heaven that's called Machin. So the Gemara asks, Hani b'rikiyesnu, all these things that we just described here, there's the snow and the everything else, these are in the heaven. Hani b'arisnu, that's over here in the world below. The Chsiv, as we say in the pasuk, Halus Hashem in Haaretz, we praise Hashem over here in Haaretz. Taninim, the big fish from the Chol Tahimais and the deep under the ground, and it says Eish, Uvara, Sheleg, the Kitter, Ruach, Sa'ara. So all these things, the fire, the hail, the snow, and vapor, and the Eibishter's winds, the storms, it's all over here in the earth below. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, so Rav Yehuda answered and said, David bikesh aleim rachmim v'hayridan la'aretz. David begged Hashem mercy and he took it away, so to speak, that it shouldn't be so close to the Eibishter. Amar Lafanav, he said to the Eibishter, Rebbeinu Shalayla, Master of the universe, Loikel chavetz resha ato lo yigurcha ra. You're not a God that desires evil, so you shouldn't have all of these punishments together with you. Tzadik ato Hashem lo yagur b'megurcha ra. That so therefore all of these evil and punishments should not be near the Eibishter. So David HaMelech brought it down into this world in a positive way. In other words, it shouldn't be so accessible, so to speak, to the Eibishter. Uminala the Ikri Shemayim. How do we know that the Machain is also one of the heavens? Tichsiv Ata Tishma Shemayim Machain Shiftucha. You listen from heaven, which is Machain Shiftucha, one of the heavens. The last of the heavens, Aravais. Aravais Shaboy Tzedek Mishpat, tzedakah, ginzei chayim. So there you have kindness, justice, and tzedakah, and the hidden source of life, and ginzei shalom, the source of peace, ginzei bracha, the source of all blessings, v'nishmasan shel tzadikim, the source of where all the neshamas come from, and ruchais and neshamas she'asad lihibares, and all the other neshamas that are going to be created, and metal she'asad the kadosh baruch hu lahachis by mesim, the do that Hashem is going to bring tchias hamesim through this is all over there in that heaven. Tzedek Mishpat, where do we see that you have Tzedek Mishpat over there in the heaven? The Chsiv, the Pasuk says, Tzedek Mishpat Mechayin Kisecha. Tzedek Mishpat is the, by Mechayin Kisecha, which refers over there to the place where the Eibishter himself is, which is in this heaven called Aravais. Tzedakah, the Chsiv, Ayilbash Tzedakah Keshiryain, the Eibishter garbs himself with tzedakah like a shiryain, which is a armor. Ginzei chayim, the source of life. The chsiv ki imcha mekar chayim, the Eibishter is the source of life. Ginzei shalom, the source of peace. The chsiv vayikra lo Hashem shalom, the Eibishter called peace to himself. And the ginzei bracha, the source of bracha. The chsiv yisa bracha me'eis Hashem, the bracha comes from the Eibishter. And the shmasan shal tzadikim, the chsiv ha'isa nefesh adayni tzrura b'sreira chayim, the life, the neshama of a person is connected to the source of life, which is the Eibishter himself, as Hashem Elikecha. Ruchais and Neshamas, the source of all the spirits and Neshamas in the world, Sha'asad libadas, that are going to be created. The Chsiv ki ruach mulafana yatov, the spirit comes from Hashem, and Neshamas ani asisi, the Eibishter creates the Neshamas. The tal she'asad kadosh baruch hu lahachis by mesim, and also the tal that Hashem will bring for tchias hamesim. The Chsiv geshem nedavais tanef alekim nachalascha v'nila atakenanta. Geshem the Davis, which refers also to the dew that the Eibishter brings to his inheritance, which are worn out, referring to Tchias HaMesim. And Sham, Oifanim, Usrafim, V'chayis HaKadosh, Malachi HaSharis, that's where the Malachim are. There's a higher level of Malachim that are there. And the Kisi HaKavod, and the Kisi HaKavod, the throne of Hashem is there. Melach Kel Rom, Chai Rom V'nisa, Sheikhan Aleim, the Eibishter dwells upon them. Ba'aravis, in this heaven, which is called Aravis. Shenemar, as the Pasuk says, Soilu l'roichiv ba'aravis. Praise to the one that rides in the heaven of Aravis. Because Shemai, the Eibishter's name. Minalan dikri Shemayim. How do we know that Aravis is one of the names of Shemayim? Asye rechive. We compare the two terms in the Pasuk where it uses the term of rechive. Ksiv hacha soilu l'roichiv ba'aravis. Praise Hashem, which is riding in Aravis. Ksiv hasam, there's another Pasuk where it says reichiv Shemayim bezrecha. The Eibishter that rides in heaven, you're in his assistance. And and there's darkness and very thick clouds that surround Hashem. Shenem, as the Pasuk says, Yoshes Chayshech Sisroi Sivivaisav. There's darkness surrounding Hashem. Sukasai Chashkas Mayim. The Eibishter has a sukkah, which is darkness of water. Alvei Shchakim, with thick clouds. Gemara asks, Umi, we'll conclude with this. Is there any darkness by the Eibishter? V'aksiv hu amikta mistarta. The Eibishter is very deep and hidden. And Yada ma b'chasheicha v'noheira. The Eibishter knows everything that's in darkness. And v'noheira imei, and there's light with him. Imei shari, the light is with him. So the Eibishter has really no darkness because he knows everything. The answer is lekashya ha b'bate gevoi. In the inner chambers, over there's only light, and ha bebati beroi. In the outer chambers, over there's darkness as well, and that's the darkness that the Pasuk is speaking about before, that surrounds Hashem.